get on with these questions here. So I'm answering a bunch of transgender questions. I'm just gonna go down the line, answer them to the best of my ability, of my knowledge. I feel like I would know something about this topic, considering, like, I'm fucking trans, But here we go. So, question 1. What does it mean to be transgender? So for me, being transgender is kind of a you already know thing. Like, it's a feeling you have within your body and a connection with your brain telling you, like, hey, I know who I am, how society sees me isn't the way I feel. And that's how I was. I kind of just knew, all my life I knew. So I definitely feel like it's a internal thing, and, like, you already know, Snapchat, like, you already know. So for me, what does it mean to be transgender? Pretty much, being a trans woman is you are biologically born a male, but then when you're younger, or, there's really no time frame, I guess, but you get this sudden feeling of, like it just hits you, like, or you're born knowing that, and, you're born, to be a trans woman, you're born biologically male, and you find out in your life that you want to transition to be a woman. Being a transgender man is being born a cis female and then wanting to transition to be a male. So question 2 is, how does someone know that they are transgender? I kind of just covered this in the first question. For me, I knew. I had known all my life. I knew that I didn't fit in the stereotypical stereotype of being a female, and I didn't actually find out what transgender meant until I was in high school, but definitely it changed my life. Like I said, something that I always knew, I just didn't really know there was a word for it, but definitely the internet played a big role. Talking to your friends. I feel like friends are more understanding than family sometimes. I definitely reach out to your friends first. Try to talk to people online, because talking to people online who are feeling the same way you do really helps. It's very comforting. So, question 3. What's the difference between sexual orientation and gender identity? So, sexual orientation is having to deal with what you're attracted to. So if you like men, then your sexual orientation is either gay or straight, depending on how you identify. Gender identity is how you feel. If you are a cis woman, if you're biologically born a female, then you could be, and you're attracted to women, you could be labeled as being a lesbian, being straight in some cases, and so, it definitely plays a big role of gender identity, is knowing, like, who you are as a person, and then sexual orientation is more of who you're attracted to. This can get kind of confusing sometimes, but that's, like, the easiest way to remember. Here's a good one. What's the difference between being transgender and intersex? So, being transgender is you being born biologically a female or male at the time of birth, and then later transitioning in life. Being intersex is when you are born with both male and female reproduction parts, and normally the parents pick which gender they want, whether they want a boy or girl, and then the surgeons have surgery on the baby and correct the gender. So that's a little different. It's kind of when you're born with both parts, and then normally your parents pick. There's been a few cases where they don't pick and they kind of let you pick when you're older. So what's the difference between being transgender and gender nonconforming? Gender nonconforming is like non-binary, I'm sure. And pretty much that means that you don't really fit into being called a female or a male, and you don't really fall in the category of being transgender as well. Sometimes this can lean in one day you waking up and wanting to put on primarily female clothes, and then the next day you wake up and you want to primarily wear more masculine clothes. So it's pretty much a day-to-day basis, and being gender nonconforming means that you don't really want to label yourself as male or female, or you don't fall into the line of transgender as well. You just kind of do your own thing. That's you. That's cool. That's awesome. Next question. What does it mean to have a gender that's not male or female? So there's things called genderqueer, gender non-conforming, non-binary, and transgender, which they all mean different things. I can actually go into a more later video and kind of explain what each one of those things are and how they're different from each other. If you want that video, I can totally make that for you. Why don't transgender people get counseling to accept the gender they were assigned at birth? So mostly it comes from one-minded people who really ask this question. But there's just a lot of curious people out there that wanting to know, like, why can't you just accept who you were assigned at birth? Totally makes sense. I'm not hating on you for this question. It's actually a really good question, and pretty much for me it was like I already knew. Like, I had known since I was younger. I've known for a very long time. I knew it was something that I just couldn't change. You know, I had been dealing with this since I was super young. I always wanted to shop in the boys section, wanted to wear boxers. I played video games, I played with Hot Wheels, I just played with more masculine boy stuff growing up. And as I got older, I figured out, like, who I really was, you know, and how I felt when I was younger kind of matched up to how I felt today. And after all those years, it was something that I definitely couldn't change. Now, I might be different from everyone else. I know that a lot of people, they do decide to transition and then they decide to detransition. Totally up to your choice. I'm not hating on people like that, you know. But sometimes you do find out that once you transition, or you're going through a transition, or you learn more about it, that, hey, that's not for me. Totally understandable, you know, but I've always felt this way, and for me, it was a choice that I was determined to make. I was 112% okay with it, and I made my steps, and I stepped into the light. So what does gender transition mean? Gender transition means that you are starting your transition, whether you are taking hormones, you're getting any kind of surgery, or you just start to identify using the pronouns he, her, and whatnot. And that is kind of your gender transition. Everyone's gender transition is different. Sometimes you mark it by when you came out to people, when you start using he, him, her, she. It can be when you start testosterone. It can be when you got your top surgery. There's little markers, and they all kind of depend on you and how you would define the start of your transition. God, I have something in my eye. Oh my god. Okay, we're good. We're live. So what are some of the official records transgender people may change when they're transitioning. So this has a lot of factors. Pretty much everything that has your dead name, which is what we call it in the transgender world. So your dead name, or the name you were given at birth, your birth name. This could be anything by your credit card, debit card, changing your bank information, if you have any car loans, if you have a house, if you own an apartment, driver's license, social security, birth certificate. There's just tons of different things that you have to go through first, starting with your driver's license, because the first thing you do is you go get your driver's license changed at the DMV. And then after that, you go to the vital records place, which holds your social security and your birth certificate, and you go get those changed. And then everything else, like the little small stuff, like I said, like any car loans, house, apartment, credit cards, that all comes after your birth certificate, your social security number, and your driver's license is all changed. What medical treatments do some transgender people seek when transitioning? So not everyone goes through surgical transition. Some people don't get top surgery, some people don't get bottom surgery, some people don't do both, some people do both. But there's also a couple of other steps in your transition. Trans women typically get hair removal surgery, and trans men normally get hair growth treatment. Two slightly different things. One is you're removing hair, one is you're growing hair, because trans men have a problem with once you transition, your hairline starts to recede back, and that is horrible, that is awful. Thank God my dad has hair and my mom has hair, because I would be bald right now if I didn't. I have noticed a little bit of receding, not too much, not something that would stress me out, but I am about I'm a year and 6 months. In 4 days. I'm a year and 6 months on T in 4 days. And I haven't really had any significant, like, hair loss, you know. My hair flourishes. I wish I had more facial hair, but I know you can't really see it right here, but, yeah. So what is gender dysphoria? Gender dysphoria is, kind of like, it's a phobia of seeing yourself sometimes and how you see yourself, or how society sees yourself. Sometimes it can be, you can have dysphoria from your chest, or bottom dysphoria, depending if you've had any surgeries or not. It's a mental disorder, but it's more of a phobia of being scared of how society sees you, or how you see yourself in the mirror. So definitely for me, I have more dysphoria when I'm out in public. Say I'm at Walmart. I don't really like going out and shopping publicly. I'd rather do all my shopping online, because I don't know how people perceive me, you know. People could perceive me very differently. Some people, you know, some people misgender me a lot, and I accept it. You know, I don't go off on them. It definitely bothers me a bit, because it's like, oh my god, like I'm not passing today. Like, is that a thing? So it's like a day-to-day thing with me. I have really good days and I have really bad days. There's a couple of steps you could take to kind of manage more of your dysphoria, but it is a day-to-day thing. It does happen. We're trans people. Yeah. This is my last question. Why is transgender equality important? Transgender equality is so important, not within our own community, but more of within general society. You know, people think we're weird, you know. People don't understand us, where we come from. People don't get it. It bothers me. It really does bother me. It pisses me off. I wish more people in general society could see that we're making a difference, you know, see that we're trying to, like, we're not trying to comfort children. That's what we're not doing. We're trying to live, be ourselves, and enjoy life while we can, because we only have one life. And at this rate, we're gonna die by 60, you know. A lot of my trans brothers and sisters don't even make it till their 30s, till their 40s, you know. Now, within the community, I think that it's important to establish that trans women are also women as well. That's a big thing for me, because a lot of people see trans women as still being biologically male, and that's not right, you know. There's more of an acceptance rate with trans men than there are trans women. It bothers me. It's not right, it's not fair, because we're all trans people, we're all in the same community, and there's still a bunch of hate within the trans community itself. You know, we're all trans people, we should stick by each other. Those are my brothers and my sisters, you know. But you have to represent the community, and you have to be willing to support and do whatever it takes, you know. And the progress we've made, I'm really happy. I definitely want to work to become more of an activist in the community as well. You know, I just feel like everyone deserves the right. They deserve their own freedom within their community, freedom in society. We just all deserve better. We all deserve better. Yeah, we all deserve better. And we just need to show each other respect and love, perseverance, and we all just need to get through this together. That's like the best thing for us, and yeah. Those are the questions I have. If you have any more questions, put them down below in the comment box, and go follow my Patreon page. It supports my top surgery and supports me making videos, and yeah, go check that out. Link will be in the description down below. All my social media links will be down below in the box in the description. Check those out. And also make sure to watch a few of my other videos, and see you guys later. Bye guys.